watching Quiddy out there today teaching, and a couple of different guys, but taking his time teaching some things, how much does it help you the way these veterans have bought into this new staff and new jobs for people?
Always, I say all the time, I've learned the most from players, and when they take control of that, like, that's where the details get taught, what things look like in reality, outside of a playbook, and that's what you want to see. I mean, it makes you feel good, to be honest with you.
So far in practices, when you're walking around, guiding players, what's the biggest noticeable change you've had to make from going from a defensive line coach to now overseeing the whole operation?
Feeling like not having anywhere to go during individual has been different. I feel like I should be bouncing around, but that's just my personality. But I love it. Like, I love going with the DBs. I go with the D-line during special teams, just making sure everybody's on the same page. I love hearing, like, the coach's coach. And, and if you hear something different, you're like, okay, well, we got the safeties and linebackers on the same page on this, and just observing and jumping in when needed. I'm a higher energy guy out there, as you can tell. Just, I need to run routes, and I want the coaches coaching, you know what I mean? So I like to hear them. It makes me feel confident that we're on the same page when we're all talking the same.
What was it like for you to go through the process?
Oh, back here? I got
The
you.
process that you did to be able to step into this role and to really come into it as, with this organization.
Can you repeat that one more time? I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
just what was it like, the process for you coming up through as a, defensive line coach and then to the defensive coordinator role? What's that process been like for you, and what has that meant to you to do it with this organization?
It's been a lot of fun. It's humbling, It's a lot of fun from a standpoint of, I've been through a lot of rebuilds, and, from the off season to the OTAs to training camp and season, of saying, hey, this is the way I would do it. Like, just taking notes of it and doing those things and having great input from guys like Joe Woods and Al Holcomb, and building something from the ground up, installing a defense. I tell the defense all the time, we're not playing our offense. We're getting ready to play an 18-game season. So keeping that in mind as we build this thing has been a lot of fun.
Coach, what's the vision for the defense? How do you put your thumbprint on this?
Style of play, man. I was told I'm going to coach the defense like I coach the D-line. I still do the same things I did. Not going 1 for 1, attacking the ball, effort and pursuit. Like, we start there, but that's always got to stick out. You know what I mean? And a product on the field that what it looks like. Clint always talks about our silent tape. I always feel like if my wife can point it out, like, hey, that's a good job. Everybody knows what it should look like. But today the theme was clean operation, great substitution, great communication, aligned with the speed breaks. Like, all those little things outside of the scheme are how things come to life, and that's been fun to see.
How important is it, or valuable is it, having coached with Maxx before now? You have that familiarity with him?
Yeah.
So if he's not out there, you can still really work together with him?
Yeah, I mean, probably the biggest reason I came here was an opportunity to coach him. So to help, it's awesome to help him towards some of his goals, as well as the defense and this organization. I just think of how much he's given to, and sacrificed to this place to help make something that we're all proud of. Would be really cool.
How involved has he been able to be kind of while he's in this rehab and recovery process?
Maxx, I mean, if he could be, he's doing everything he can but practice. So meetings, attentive walkthroughs, he's out there stretching. He's fully involved.
Sometimes coaching isn't all X's and O's, so what was it like kind of, getting him back after what happened in the off season and kind of helping him out just to get back on track here with the Raiders?
I was just happy he was back. Once he's back, he's back. I was excited.
I apologize.
No, you're good.
You and Clint, different but very similar in your approach to football. It's all ball. Will you just talk about that development and that relationship, please, sir?
Yeah. I didn't even know this, but just I think from the interview to as we get going aligned as I think men, he has 4 kids, I have 4 kids, from values all the way to installing a defense, like putting everything in and teaching. He's a great teacher. He's a great communicator. He loves football. Wouldn't say our personalities are exactly the same, how you feel, but we're very much aligned in many ways. And the longer I'm around him, the more and more I see that.
Coach, you talked about your family just being in Las Vegas. When you look over at what the Golden Knights are doing, how much does that fuel this organization?
Oh, it'll be awesome. I mean, you see the city come to life with what's going on. I think about that all the time. You see that stadium sitting right next to, T-Mobile. And, I mean, that would be awesome. That'd be great. It's a great example.
Trying to build something from the ground up, like how you're being able to build something that you want to build here. How exciting is it that nobody really knows what you guys are going to look like when the season starts, right? You're just going to unleash this on the league, and nobody really has an idea of what to kind of look for.
It's great. It's great. I mean, it is great because, I mean, it's trying to keep an advantage, you know what I'm saying? But I'm so focused on, I want to know what they know. I want to hear them talk. I want to hear their communication, and I want a player-led defense, and them to understand conceptually right now is really what the big word is of the concept of cover two, for example, not a call, and that's how you're able to be multiple. That's how they're able to understand the strengths and weaknesses of a call, and that's really been our focus. So, like I said, in an 18-game season, when you have to evolve to injury or what type of quarterback you're playing, you're able to do so. You're teaching them the game, and we started in phase one with, this is how we get in a huddle, so, assuming nothing, and I enjoy that. I'm a teacher at heart, and all the guys I've hired, are great teachers. Ron L. Williams is a great, phenomenal linebacker coach. Matt Robinson, I already told you about Joe and Al, and then Travis Smith. They've done a phenomenal job. And I told him I want the players to feel that energy when they walk into the meeting room. Get to the point, get them to the walkthrough, get to practice.
A lot of guys in the secondary can play on multiple spots on the field. How important is it to have that flexibility which you got with those guys in the DB room?
It's always important. It's a matchup league, it's a matchup league. You can't out-scheme people all day, and that's really important. But at the same time, you have to be careful with progression of bringing players along. You think they can handle one or two spots. Well, maybe we just, start them off with one spot, and then with the vision to build that way. So you need to know this, and then maybe down the road. And that's a case-by-case scenario based on the player. But those being multiple is important.
You just talked about a player-led defense, but clearly we don't have pads on. But when you watch Quay, you see some spills in him, just his communicative skills, the way he's moving guys around. Do you see some of that early with Quay, a little bit of splaying?
Yeah, I see Quay. He's an avatar out there. You know what I mean? He's a guy that looks like an outside linebacker that can play off the ball, play on the ball. He blitz. He's communicative. Yeah, he's a leader. Him and Nakobe have been great, and you can definitely feel his presence.
Rob, we spoke with a couple of your assistants yesterday, and they mentioned that one theme that you have for your defense is aggression, and that aggressiveness solves a lot of problems. Can you go into more of what you want that to look like and how you start that, early in OTAs?
Yeah, I'm a little crazy. I would like them to play fast, even at the cost of a mental error. I think, I don't like to see hesitation on the field, so even if you're unsure, make a decision and go and let us coach. Let us do our job. But, I don't want any slow blinkers out there. So still going into how we play box, how we attack the ball, how we run to the ball. You can't take it away if you don't run to the ball, and just staying with that mindset and instilling confidence in them that they can play that way, that they have the freedom from me. I don't care, about a bust over that. That's not the difference of winning and losing to me.
There's a lot of youth and your safeties, a lot of younger guys. How much do you rely on Jeremy Chinn and Isaiah to kind of step in and be the veterans on that?
A lot, just in terms of how they operate, as they're learning the defense too. But, they're confident guys, and then Taron Johnson out there today, same thing. This kid's a pro, man. So it's no different with the question with Quiddy. Those guys leading the way. That's what needs to happen.
What do you think about the secondary in general? Just there's been a lot of attention to detail as far as guys that have ball skills, guys that have turned the ball over a lot in their careers coming up. What do you think about them?
About anybody specifically?
Just the way the room looks like they all have that same same mindset.
Yeah, if it's up, it's ours. You know what I mean? We talk about, it's hard right now in the off season going, staying up, but you can see when a guy's in a position to make a play, anticipation out of breaks. That's why I think individuals so important, giving the coaches their indie time to rep, change of direction, not taking anything for granted there, not just doing schematic type things. Putting them in position to do things that they would do in a game, that they can confidently do it and attack the ball. That's what's really important.
What's it been like for you building a coverage scheme for the first time after, spending a lot of time with the defensive line and linebackers throughout your career?
A lot of fun, a lot of work, a lot of hours spent, a lot of communication. Like I said, Joe Woods, Matt Robinson, Al Holcomb have been extremely helpful. I've challenged the staff as much as anybody. Like, we got to be ahead of how we're going to be attacked and what our answers will be, as well as like, this is the teaching process. These are our rules. Okay, how would you attack us? Like, if we were the offense, what would you do? Having those conversations before they actually happen. And it was my job to set the concepts of this is what we're going to be. These are the coverages we're going to play. These are so on and so forth. But going through the minute details, we've done that together.
Robbie, watching Taryn today, I was extremely impressed with how quick he can just flip his hips. Will you talk about his technique? He just seemed to be just technically right on the mark.
Yeah, you said it. His body control, his change of direction is elite. His awareness, his vision, the instincts, when you can see it in one day, it's pretty glaring. So that was exciting. Yeah.
Just over 2 months from your first preseason game, have you decided if you're going to be coaching up in the booth or down on the field?
Not officially. I got to talk to Clint about that.
Do you have a preference?
I'll wait to talk to Clint about that. Yeah.
As you worked your way through, you've been all the way back to Cardinal Gibbons and all the way through your career. How much have you thought about when this opportunity actually came and how you would embrace it and run with it? Like, when did you start kind of maybe dreaming about it, thinking about it?
Candidly, when I was a young coach, I think I've said this before, but when I was a long-time quality control for Spags and other things, it trains you more to be a coordinator than a position coach. And I was that for a long time. So I think I wanted to even more when I was younger. And then when I became a position coach, I think I was terrible, to be honest with you, my first year as a position coach. I really do. I was the outside backers at the Giants, and I just focused on evolving on that while like keeping notes of what I would do, but I didn't like press to climb the coaching ladder. It wasn't as important to me. I was like, it'll happen when it's supposed to happen, but just make sure I'm ready, I'm prepared on philosophy, beliefs, installation, the whole nine. So I just kind of let the NFL take place and just tried to. I always felt like if I worked hard and did a good job at the job I had, it'll lead to another opportunity rather than chasing something else. I can be a coordinator if I went here or there. That stuff irritates me, quite frankly. So, and I'm a man of faith, and God willing, I was very blessed. A lot of things had to align for me to have this opportunity. So, and I'm very aware of that.
Robbie, you had a few years there where teams contacted the Raiders wanting to talk to you, and the Raiders were like, no thanks, we're not letting him go.
Yeah.
When you look back at how the process has went for you, are you able to maybe appreciate it more now that you're in that role than when you were going through it?
Yeah, I wish I could give you specific stories of that whole roller coaster over the past couple of years, but yeah, I'm very grateful. This is where I wanted to be. It's in me. It's in my heart to build this place right and see the Raiders win, and that would mean a lot. I know it would mean a lot to the fans, the organization, but I felt like I was meant to do something based on my experiences. It's kind of led me to help do something like this.
All day, you've kind of talked about being multiple with this defense, and obviously there's a huge commotion about switching over to a 3-4 based defense. So with that being said, with the linebackers and the defensive tackles that are being brought in, how important is it to have a deep rotation in those two rooms, especially if you want to be multiple with that base as well?
Yeah, up front, it's always important to be deep, and be able to rotate. Just is. It's not a crazy drastic, for the front guys, they're like, hey, I'm an outside shade, an inside shade, or head up. I'm a 3, a 2, or a shade. I don't think it's for how we teach D-line that it's something drastically different. What's my technique? Who am I striking? And then in terms of 3-4, 4-3, that's just in my mind of, the edge guys, who's dropping, who's rushing. which is a little bit different, but I don't think the change is as drastic as it may sound, if that makes sense.
Back at the combine, we talked to Clayton about hiring you, and he just was blown away by the interview that you guys had, just, you know, talking to you and getting to know you. Do you remember kind of your impressions of that meeting when you first were talking to him?
Yeah, I remember you was talking about the interview, how it went? Yeah, it was, as you learn Clinton, he didn't say much, he just kind of let her rip, and asked a few questions, and I just went in from, like, literally what I call personnel season in the off season to OTAs to training camp to the season of how I would do it, and Spy was in there, and there wasn't much conversation. I just kind of went through the interview, and he was taking notes, and I mean he asked some questions, you know, some really good ones I can't recall off the top of my head, but we were in there for quite a while.
Robbie, Lucky Tassi is a guy, so much athleticism, but so raw. I remember talking to you about him 2 years ago, but with him, will you talk about, even today, you guys on him, coaching him, and he's taking it, talk about his commitment to the learning process, please.
Yeah, he's all in it. He's in there doing extra, watching tape with Max, and you know, the kid's very aware. One thing I noticed about Lockie is he can correct himself quickly. You know, that's a tough transition from never playing football to go to offense, come back to defense, and things happen fast. But he's learning. He's doing a good job.
Couple more guys.
Coach, you mentioned winning, just the other side of the ball in the quarterback room, just how deep, how talented that room is this season.
The corner?
Quarterback room.
Yeah, it's competitive. You know, the back end is extremely competitive. It's day to day. Those young guys are hungry. The vets are out there hungry, and Stokes is doing a great job of leading them. I'm counting on his leadership, and he's doing a great job with that. But I mean, that's what it's about. You're going to get everybody's best on a day-to-day basis, you know, and we're going to play the best 11.
Just what's excites you about Jamal McCoy's potential in this defense?
Yeah, I mean, corners that can cover are rare. You know, he's explosive. Will take some time, but you know, he jumps out when he does individual how explosive he is, and you know, you see the talent. We're just getting him up to speed.
What is it having a guy like Kirk Cousins to have you guys compete day by day and challenge your unit every day?
Awesome. He gets me chirping out there. He's out there talking like, I mean, it's great because it's a great test for us, of a great litmus test of he sees everything, you know, from coverage to pressure to this, and I love it. Like that worked for us. I mean, we got to see a lot of good quarterbacks this year, and that's immediately what I'm thinking. If he knows the coverage, why does he know? What can we do to, you know, disguise or whatever it may be? Yeah, and I love his energy. I love him talking a little junk out there. I mean, it's fun.
All right, one more, guys.
Joe Woods was talking yesterday about how you have a lot of different influences in kind of building this scheme. How do you go about picking and choosing what you're going to draw from? Like, this is something that I would want to bring over, kind of diagnosing like how you want to build this defense from kind of your previous influences and stuff.
Yeah, you rely on conceptually the concepts that have started to build here, things you like, things that you trust, things that you know very well. Then you understand why you would call that. You know, you understand the weaknesses of how that would be attacked, and you have the confidence to install it to all 11 guys. So, you know, from, you know, I mean, you know all the stops I've been at, and picking and choosing and making sure it fits all together, you know, especially from a terminology standpoint. And the coaches are the first litmus test for that. Like, if they can get it, we can coach it. You know, it's one thing to understand it in the meeting, but can we actually coach this and get it executed? You know, does that answer your question? Yeah. Okay, good.
Cool. Thanks, guys.
Yep.
Thanks so much.
All right.
Jeremy, today on the field, there were 5 different times that I personally noticed veterans teaching the young guys, and that's a definite sign about you vets buying in on the new direction. Could you talk about that angle, sir, as the vets have bought in and you guys have really almost seemed, must be more even more empowered to become teachers?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's important just to be a resource, especially for the younger guys when they have questions. whether it be through our experience or how we see certain things, just to be a resource for them, kind of be a coach on the field in a sense.
What have you seen from Rob Leonard as a defensive coordinator as he makes the adjustment from position coach?
Yeah, I've been, very impressed with Rob. I've always, been impressed with him as a coach, but for him just taking a bigger leadership role, he's definitely embraced it. But he's really allowed this defense to be not necessarily just his defense, but our defense in a sense. So that's a good feeling for the players.
He said he's kind of he's cool as long as you guys play fast. Like if you make a mental error, that's okay. Just play fast, play aggressive.
Yeah.
What does that do for players to just have that kind of freedom?
It's big when it comes down to the style of play, which is really what football is about. At the end of the day, it allows us, like you said, to play fast, play physical, and not have to think too much.
You talked about wanting this to be a player-led defense. You just also talked about, having it be our defense, not just his defense.
Yeah.
You talk a little bit about what the collaboration process has been like with him kind of building this scheme.
From him to Matt Robinson, who's been in this defense, Ronell, who's also been in this defense, guys just having different perspectives from the linebacker perspective, from the DB perspective, and then Rob being a D-line coach, it really kind of just meshes into kind of what we want to do, and players who've been with those coaches, whether it be N'Kobe or or whether it be Adam up front or something like that. So really just all of us being able to kind of mesh into our own identity in a way.
What would you say the identity of this team is? I know it's early, but
Yeah.
under Coach Kubiak, as he's come in as the new head coach.
I think we're still trying to figure that out. Like you said, it is early, so that's what this process is for.
What do you gather from him though, in terms of his energy and his philosophies?
From Coach Kubiak? Yeah. There's a certain way that he likes things to be done, and we're just trying to do that.
Jeremy, when you play your best football, you're instinctual. You're allowed to just play the game how it comes to you. And
Yeah.
you did it a little bit last year, but it didn't fit the scheme at all times. This year, that's what they want from you. So you personally, how are you excited?
Yeah, I'm super excited for this defense. Just the different looks, and I don't want to get too much detail, but like the different fronts and stuff that we'll be able to do and incorporate. It'll just allow me to play a little bit more free and play downhill to the ball.
Back into talking about playing free and being instinctual, when you have a couple of additions to that safety room that are also versatile like you, are able to play multiple roles, how much does that make your life easier as well?
Yeah, it's cool because it kind of keeps the offense guessing a little bit. When we have guys who can play in different spots and rotate different ways, it doesn't necessarily give the offense a heads up of what we're doing and why certain guys are in certain spots because, we can spin anybody down or spin anybody back.
Back into that too, like what's been your first impressions of those guys like Stooks and Johnson and even Terry coming in and being able to play multiple roles?
Yeah, it's been good. It's been, impressive just to see those guys, one, just being, willing to be like, all right, yeah, I'll play that, I'll be here, you want me to be here. So just a willingness to, take on different roles and be in different spots on the field.
What have you thought of Quay Walker early on, his skill set, what he brings to the defense, what do you see thus far, your impression?
Yeah, he's been impressive as well. He's another guy who can play, multiple spots, especially, in the linebacker role from Sam to Will to Mike. He's becoming more vocal as well. So, that's something that we'll need in the middle of our defense.
How much are you also, when Rob's talking about you guys as veterans leading the young guys in the secondary, how much are you leaning and collaborating with a guy like Eric Stokes as well?
Yeah, that's big. Eric, he's a big part of our defense. He's here for a reason. He's somebody that we'll lean on and depend on. So the collaboration with him, from a leadership perspective, has been big as well this offseason.
What was your personal goal maybe this offseason, somewhere you want to work on, something you want to improve? What was kind of your plan for the offseason?
Coming bulletproof.
I guess how did you go about that?
Working. I mean, I've been here. I've been in Las Vegas, you know, my whole off season. So I'll be here for the rest of the year, just getting ready for the season.
Jeremy, you're one who appreciates people that play the game technically sound, because that's how you are, the way you play. And I noticed with Taryn today, and I just talked to Robbie about it, how unbelievably quick he can flip his hips. When you watch him play, what stands out to you when you see that?
Yeah, I mean, he's somebody who's been playing this game for a while. I think this is year 9 for him. So, I mean, when you get to that point, like, technique has carried you a long way. So I know that's something that he takes a lot of pride in, and not even necessarily just technique, but just his knowledge or his willingness to want to learn this defense, even like when he, you know, wasn't here and stuff. So, you know, that's something I respect and appreciate a lot.
All good, guys? Cool, thank you.
Thank you, man.
Yeah, appreciate you guys.
If you could reflect on what happened with Baltimore, what are your thoughts on this?
You know, I don't really want to talk about that, to be honest. It's water under the bridge. It's a long time ago. Lot of things I learned, you know, about what's going on and just, you know, what this league can bring. A lot of adversity, a lot of different things. You can't really anticipate a lot. But ultimately, you know, I've been through a lot of my life. It's nothing to me. It is what it is. You know, I'm here and I want to be here and I'm excited to be here, and I got a lot of work to do. But yeah, you know, it's water under the bridge.
5 different times today, vets were teaching young guys. It really appears the staff is pushing to the vets. We want you as coaches on the field. We want you imparting your wisdom. Would you talk about that part of this team, please?
Yeah, for sure. You know, I think we have a really good group of older guys and, you know, a mixture of young guys and vets. And anytime, you know, you can get the guys that have done it and have been in the fire to help the young guys, I think that's extremely valuable. So, you know, not only myself, but all my teammates, you know, we have, you know, guys like N'Kobe Dean and Quay Walker played a lot of football. You know, you got guys across the board, Taron Johnson being here, you know, being able to teach a guy like, you know, Trey Stukes and, you know, pass down that knowledge is extremely important. Then you have Kirk with Fernando, and it's like, you know, it goes on and on. So I think it's a really good mixture, and it's really important and valuable, you know, not just being on the field, but also, you know, being in the film room and being able to, you know, pass that knowledge down.
Knowing that you were going to be back on the Raiders this season, you said everything happens for a reason. How excited are you to be a part of this group heading into this year with all the new pieces?
Yeah, I'm fired up. You know, everyone knows my love and appreciation for this organization. That never changed, you know, from day one. You know, that's part of the business. There's a lot of other things that, you know, don't need to be discussed, but ultimately I'm exactly where I want to be. I'm excited and, you know, just being here with this group. You know, we have a extremely smart and great leader of men in Clint Kubiak, coaching staff that is very detailed and very, I would say, tentative with everything they do. You know, they're very, you know, intentional with everything that we're trying to accomplish. We're not just going out there checking boxes. We're trying to get things done the right way and establish a foundation so that when the season comes, we're not out there, you know, making shit up. It's just we go out and play football, and we have a plan, and this is how we need to execute. So they've been really good with that. I think Robbie is another big part of that. Obviously, everybody deserves their credit. You know, we have a lot of work to do, but ultimately, like, Robbie stepping into a D coordinator job is really awesome. You know, I've been able to see him and work with him, you know, as my D-line coach for years, and now that he's able, you know, to get the D coordinator job, he earned that, and, you know, I think he's doing a really good job, and he just brings juice every day. So when you have a lot of, you know, I feel like we have a lot of young energy in the building. You know, I'm 28 years old, and I feel like you know the old man in the room now. So it's honestly it's crazy, but at the same time, I think you know everybody's doing their part. Everyone's learning. Everyone's trying to be the best version of themselves, and you can't establish that overnight. You got to do it right now. We got to do it every day, and every time you step in this building, you have to be intentional with how you're trying to accomplish your work.
It's so important for you to be out there in voluntary workouts, stretching with the guys, even though you're working your way back to being at 100%.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I'm a leader by nature. You know, the guys need to see me. I want to be out there and be a part of the team. You know, I just want to be one of the guys. You know, I don't do it because you know it's me. You know, trying to be extra or anything like that. I just love what I do, and I love playing football, and I love just being on the field. Like that's my whole world, and being able to do the stretches with the guys is something that I think is important, and just being around the dudes, just getting better. You know what I mean? I feel like it helps the team in general, and just bringing energy as we get the day rolling. But it's been really cool. It's every year's a different journey, and this is, we've been through a lot of changes, a lot of adversity since I've been here. But this has been a long, road to recovery. It's been probably the longest rehab I've been through. But ultimately, it's probably been the best by far. To be completely honest, and we're not even to the finish line. So there's so many people I could, mention in that category, from Rick Slade to Jocelyn that I work with every day, and it goes on and on. Drew Grant, so many dudes that have, so many people in general that have helped me during this process, and give them a lot of credit. So I love being out there with the guys, and I just love being out there on the field. I'm real close, but I'm at that point where it's like I forget. I'm at the point where I'm like almost there, but I forget that I need to relax a little bit. So that's kind of been the biggest battle right now, because I'm almost back to being out there.
It's early in the process right now, but what have you thought about the direction and the thumbprint that Rob Leonard's put on this defense?
Yeah, he's got his own twist. He's been in a lot of different systems. Obviously, it goes back to he was with the Giants, and then he was with Baltimore for a year, and then he was with Miami with Brian Flores. He's been around Mike McDonald, just won the Super Bowl, and then being around Pat, Josh McDaniels. He's been with a lot of different people and have a lot of different influences. So I think just him in general, just being able to be a sponge. He's not a robot in anything he does. He's not trying to just do what everybody else wants him to do. He's going to do it his way. And guys respect that, because they know how hard he works and how much he loves and cares about his team, about this team and the players. And you can really feel that. You can't fake that energy. And I think that's a big reason why he got the job, is because not only is he extremely smart when it comes to football, he just has a really unique and special way of being able to relate to the players, and guys feed off that energy. So yeah, he's done a hell of a job. Every single day it's not going to be perfect, and he knows that. He's learning. This is his first time doing it, and it's really cool just having those conversations and being able to see him evolve. Because I was with him, 4 years ago, and he just came in trying to, he was an outside linebacker coach and D-line coach, and he was just doing everything to try to just get us in a position to win. Now he's in a bigger platform, but he hasn't changed at all, and that's the coolest thing, because he's authentic. He's exactly who he is and who he says he is, and I think that's really special when you have that coming from coaches.
You talked about the change, the different regime changes that have happened with this organization. I'm wondering to you, what gives you more faith in this one than your previous regime changes?
Yeah, honestly, it doesn't. I'm not into making predictions, getting too high, too low. Like I've been there before and in the past, and I'm always going to be overly optimistic. If you don't believe, you have no chance. So for me, coming in every single season, I believe, we play this game to win. We don't go here to rebuild or, have a chance or get a little bit better. Like, obviously, we have a lot of work to do, and we do have to get a lot better. And, there is a lot of things that need to go in our favor, but ultimately, I'm always going to be very optimistic. And I try to, feed that to my teammates. You know what I mean? If we go into the season thinking we're going to lose, you're probably going to lose. You know what I mean? So no matter what it is, no matter what the situation, no matter who's coaching, if you don't have everybody on board and everybody, invested and dialed in on finding ways to win and improve as an individual, so that can improve the unit and everyone is working, in the same direction, then, you're wasting time. So I think Clint has done an awesome job. Robbie's done an awesome job. Obviously, we have new coaches all over the place. We just have a lot of new energy, and it's different. But we're learning on the fly and learning each other. You know what I mean? We've only been around each other for a few months, and we're just building those relationships. And we got a lot of new guys on the roster, and it's a process, and you just have to buy into it every day. You know what I mean? You can't look too far down the road. You can't look in the past. All that is irrelevant. You know what I mean? It's all about where your feet are at, and that's honestly where I think, this team is what this team is doing right now is just not listening to the outside noise, not getting too high, too low, just being present and focus on getting better, because that's going to give us the best chance when it comes to Sundays.
What have your impressions been so far of Fernando Mendoza, and do you at all look forward to down the line lining up against him, competing against him, and is that at all, as the leader of the team, a job to really test him, to brace him for what's coming his way in the NFL?
Yeah, for sure. He's an awesome kid. You know what I mean? He's everyone knows his ability, what they've seen. Obviously, especially this past season at Indiana. I mean, it couldn't have been a greater year for an individual player at a college level, winning the Heisman, winning the Natty, not losing a game, having a game-winning touchdown in the national championship. Like, he checked every single box and some. But now, you know, you come to the NFL and you're ground zero. And I think that's what is the most important thing when you're a young guy coming in the league, is realizing that, is like, listen, you don't just come in and say, okay, now you just start where you know left off in college. That's not the reality. You come here and you have to earn your respect all over again and build up trust within your teammates, your coaches, and the whole nine. So Fernando's been awesome. He's a great kid. He has great work ethic. You know, I had a lot of the young guys over at the house who watched Game 7, and Fernando, you know, was unfortunately behind me in a game of horse, and I destroyed him. So it was, you know, it got him out of there quick. So he's got to work on the jump shot, but ultimately he's a competitor, man, and he's learning and getting better every single day. So I'm really excited, you know, for what he's going to bring to this team, and you can already feel just his energy on a daily basis has been extremely consistent.
I know you're not on the field with them, but we're used to you bull talking throughout every practice, every rep, and everything else. Now Kirk's doing it on the offensive side. Are you looking forward to getting back on the field where there's going to be that competitive?
Absolutely, I miss it so much. You know what I mean? That's those are the little things that, you know, I feel like people don't really get to see. You know what I mean? People see it on Sundays and things like that, but like that competitive nature is every day for me. So whatever I'm doing, I want to go out there and establish my, you know, dominance and talk my mess and do what I do. And, you know, I see Kirk talking a little bit to the defense, and I'm like, all right, I got something for you when we come back. But that's what you want, you know what I mean? If you have you know, one or two guys that are out there trying to, you know, be the big dog, like, you're probably not going to be very good as a team. There's 53 guys on the roster, you know what I mean? We need a bunch of dogs and a bunch of guys that are going to not just bark at each other, but bite back, you know what I mean? And that's what Kirk has done. I mean, I was just walking down the hallway. They got like our TVs up and they show highlights, and we always have throwback games on in the building. And I'm walking by and it was showing I think a game of Kirk in Minnesota, and it said like 450 yards and 2 touchdowns on the ticker. And I was like, yeah, this dude Kirk has been doing it for a long time at a high level. So big shout out to my man Kirk. He's awesome, man. I really didn't know much about him. I probably met him one time before he got here. You know, people have jokes and think he's like this, you know, super uptight and like square. Like he's really one of the guys, and he bleeds. He just brings great energy all the time, and he's a competitor, man, and he's done it, and you know, made the type of money he's made and had the success he's had by, you know, being one of those guys. So I'm really looking forward to, you know, matching up with him and Mendoza and everybody. You know what I mean? I have that itch for sure, but I just have to, you know, stay calm, you know, during this process, and you know, we'll be back to going to war very soon.
This has been the longest rehab, but also the best rehab you've been through for the injury since you've been with the team. You know, with that being said, what's the biggest thing that you've learned about yourself or just learned about your body throughout this whole recovery process?
Yeah, honestly, just the whole offseason in general. You know, I've faced a ton of adversity. You know, there's been a lot of bullets flying in my direction. And truly, it's you know, you really figure out who you are in those type of moments. You know what I mean? And you know, everyone talks about, has a different quote about pressure makes diamonds and all these different things and sayings and things like that. But ultimately, it's real, and you could talk about it and you could say, yeah, man, I can go through this adversity. I'll be fine if this happens to me. But when it's really going on, you figure out who you are, and you have a choice. You know what I mean? You can fold or you can respond. And I know myself, like I don't work to come back. I'm not working to just come back. Like I'm coming back better, and that's my mindset. And I know that, and I believe it, and I prepare and work like an animal daily, and I do it for my teammates. You know what I mean? Those guys see me. I want to show them that, you know, even if I'm not on the field, I'm on the bike going just as hard, getting in, you know, shape so I can be ready when I'm back out there with them. And trying to set that example and standard on a daily basis, man. This has been an amazing offseason. There's been a lot, and the biggest pet peeve of mine is like people, you know, they see me and they're like, man, you good? And I'm like, shit, I've never been better. You know what I mean? Honestly, like, and I don't just say that, you know, because I could say that, you know what I mean? Just to say it. I truly mean it and believe it, and I know it. And I have great people around me. You know, my circle's never been tighter. You You know what I mean? And, you know, I'll go to war with 2 to 3, you know, foxhole guys. I don't need 15 people with me. You know what I mean? I got the right people around me, truly, and it's extremely special. So yeah, man, it's been a great recovery process. You know, me and Rick Slate, my guy, we're together probably more than me and Rachel, and that's for sure. You know what I mean? That's my wife, and me and Rick are together every day, working and working and working, finding new ways to improve, and like I say, it's been better because I've been able to focus on other different things. You know what I mean? Whether that's being in the weight room, like I'm moving more weight than I ever have, and doing things in a different way, and able to give my body, you know, probably the proper rest that it actually needs. I know one speed. You know what I mean? I've only been on go for the last 20 something years, working my tail off. I know that. So this has allowed me, or it's forced me to have to take a step back in certain areas and not run 8,000 yards on the field every single day. You know, I'm able to grind in a different way and able to, you know, stay calm. Especially, you know, I was on crutches for 2 months. Like, somebody like me who can't sit down is on crutches for 2 months. That alone is going to test you as a human being, and especially on top of all the other stuff. But it honestly, everything happens for a reason, man. I know I'm meant to be here for a reason. I believe that, and I'm so excited to be here. Just in front of the fans, man. I can't wait to get out there and see the fan base and feel the fan base when we're back out. And, you know, week 1 versus Miami is going to be legendary.
Talk about the launch of your music career and how much having music actually helped you as an outlet going through all the adversity that you did.
I love that you asked that. No, it's just it's something I've done my whole life. Like, legitimately, I was in high school, and me and my best friend, instead of going out to all the parties and everything, we had our own party. Just go to his house and have some of our friends over, and we would just record to stay out the way, to try to stay out of trouble. You know what I mean? And that's like, I truly love music. You know, I was listening to music since I was, like, rap music and R&B and stuff, since I was 4 years old, 5 years old. So I've always had a passion for it and loved it. And honestly, like, I used to in the past, like, try to do everything by the book and try to do everything, you know, how is everyone going to take this, and really think. And I'm like, I've had these songs that I wanted to, you know, release for a long time, and I'm like, I really don't care what anyone has to say, to be honest. Like, I know what I know what I do on a daily basis. You know, people are going to have their comments. People are going to be negative. People are going to be positive. But ultimately, like, it's what I love, and I do it as a passion. It's an escape for me. You know, everyone knows I don't drink. I don't smoke. I don't do any of that. I don't go to the club. I don't do any of that. So being able to just go in the studio with me and one of my best friends, and Brogan, or my cousin Tommy, so we'll sit in there for 4 hours and just relax. And that's like my going out. You know what I mean? Just relaxing and just having my mind go to a different place. And it's a great release for me. So I'm glad. You know, I think you know, people, a lot of people like it. A lot of people, you know, can say whatever. But I think it's ultimately just cool to finally just be like, I don't care. I'm dropping the music. If you don't like it, it is what it is.
Your own raps, like every.
Oh yeah, I write everything. Yeah, I'll either do that or freestyle or a mixture of both. But yeah, I've been doing it since high school. So yeah, I was like, screw it, I'm dropping music. It's just like the final, like, yeah, all right, I'm doing this now too.
On the next Future album.
I hope so, or he'll be on my album, one of the two. Shout out Future. Appreciate y'all. Love you guys. Appreciate it.
No time soon. Nah, I ain't got it.
Do you guys play Max's music during practice at all?
Not yet, but sometimes in the locker room we play it though. Yeah.
Scale 1 to 10.
It's a banger. What do you mean? Not even scale of 1 to 10.
The switch from 4-3 to 3-4, I guess, what does that do for you, changing your role potentially, and I guess how could it unlock you maybe a little bit?
I want to say it's a big switch. I feel like in my career a lot it's been kind of like the very like similar things. I just think now it's like a label on it, but I feel like it's very comfortable for me, so I feel like it's the same thing.
Malcolm, you look like you're back to Malcolm, that you're healthy, you're not physically, you look terrific. Am I reading you correctly?
I'm just trying to practice, that's it.
Your decision to come back with the Raiders this offseason, and now Rob Leonard now being the defensive coordinator, how much does his position and his promotion lead to you wanting to come back and be a part of this?
Yeah, definitely had a big influence on it. I trust Robbie ever since I met him. He's always I feel like he's always been in my corner, kind of understands me as a player. So that was a big influence of me coming back.
Is he different at all as a defensive?
Not at all. He's the same. He'll come like during meetings and stuff and like kind of like bullshit with me a little bit. So yeah.
He just talked about wanting it to be a player-led defense.
Mm-hmm.
Can you talk a little bit about what the collaboration is like with the players?
Wait, I'm sorry. Repeat that question.
So he said that he wants it to be a player-led defense and kind of take in your opinions, your feedback, everything like that. Can you talk a little bit about what the collaboration is like between the players and Rob Leonard?
I think with Robbie, it's kind of like, obviously there's like the coach talk, but then I think he wants like the conversation between us to be like normal. Like he doesn't want it to kind of be like, I guess he wants like the communication that we have with each other kind of be more organic and stuff like that, instead of like again, like super label-y or super like coach-like. So I guess that's, if I'm answering your question correctly.
Yeah, I was more asking just like how open is he to kind of taking your feedback as you're building out this new defensive scheme on like what you guys are seeing out there on the field, applying that to the scheme and how it can go forward.
Yeah, I think that he's very like understanding. Like I feel like if it's up to Robbie, he is suited up right next to us. So I think he's down for anything that we like throw at him. So.
Max really opened up to us about what he's been going through this year. Just seeing him up close as your friend. How much respect do you have for him?
My respect for Max is through the roof. Ever since I met him, he's a dog. I know he's gonna give 1,000% every single day. So there's literally no question about him. So.
How does his energy kind of translate to the D-line and the other young guys that are coming up with the defense?
I think it's funny with the young guys because, like, obviously Max is in the meeting rooms and stuff like that. So, like, they feel him in the meeting rooms, but they haven't fed him on the field yet. So I'll be telling all the young guys, like, nah, when you get on the field, it's going to be a completely different story. So it's exciting.
What have you thought about the new additions to this defense and the direction that you guys are starting to go, even though it's early in the process?
I think it's pretty good. I like I don't know. It feels like a kind of different in the building. Like everybody knows like what the plan is, and kind of like everybody kind of like thinks the same. And we kind of got a whole bunch of players that I think are like, I don't know, like the most important thing to them is like winning and just being the best team we can be. So yeah.
And with that, especially going from last year to this year, you mentioned the difference of everybody kind of being on the same page and winning. How big of a difference is it just throughout the building having that mentality?
I think it's extremely different. I felt like last year sometimes like, I don't know, a lot of people were in their head and I don't know, like maybe mentally we kind of lost like kind of our competitive edge sometimes. So definitely this year feels like a complete turnaround. So yeah.
Rob Leonard told us that he wants you guys to be very aggressive. Obviously, it's very early in OTAs, no pads or anything. How has he, I guess, influenced you guys to play that way, even though we are just in the early stages?
Well, for me, I think Robbie's philosophy kind of just always been the same since in the D-line room. So it just feels like, it literally feels like a D-line meeting every day, but with everybody in there. So that's it.
What were your personal goals maybe this offseason, places you wanted to improve, and I guess, are you pleased with the work that you've been able to do on yourself?
I think this year for me, I'm not really focused on like, I guess like personal goals. I think that the main focus for me is just like the team being competitive and just trying to win games and stuff like that. I feel like if you focus on being competitive, winning games, and that stuff, everything else will fall into line. So that's it.
Has it been tough dealing with that mentally of just not kind of getting to where you guys want every year?
I wouldn't say tough. I think it's like something that like if you let yourself fall into it, it's like a deep hole. So I think it's just pretty much that. Just not kind of like giving in.
All good guys? Or anyone? Okay, awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.